All right, ready to dive deep into becoming a tax inspector.
Let's do it.
This deep dive is going to help you prep for that interview. And guess what? We're using RoleCatcher's career guides and resources as our map.
Cool, yeah, their stuff is great.
We'll break down those tricky questions, give you the tools to shine. And hey, did you know this career path has some awesome perks?
Oh, yeah.
Think job security, think using your brain, and even a chance to make the tax system fairer.
That is a good point.
It's not just about numbers, it's about making a difference.
It's so true. It kind of flies under the radar.
Oh, for sure.
People don't always get how much knowledge and critical thinking is involved.
Totally.
I mean, we're talking ensuring compliance, navigating crazy legislation, and yeah, even dealing with people who, well, aren't exactly thrilled about paying taxes.
Okay, so let's jump into a question that seems simple but can trip people up. What motivated you to pursue a career as a tax inspector? It's easy to, default to a generic answer, but we want you to blow them away.
Definitely. And remember, the interviewer is trying to gauge your real interest,
Oh, for sure.
What sparked your curiosity? Was it financial systems, a desire to serve the public, or maybe you just love the details of tax law?
Don't be afraid to get personal. Right. Share a story or experience that made you realize, this is for me.
Right.
Did you ever help a family member with their taxes and, enjoy figuring it all out? Did a news story about, I don't know, tax evasion spark your sense of justice?
Totally. Those personal touches make you stand out.
And this is where I think RoleCatcher's AI can give you an edge, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because it analyzes your background, looks at the job description, and it can help you pick out experiences that might not scream tax inspector, but actually show relevant skills.
Exactly.
Maybe you are a treasurer for a club, or managed a budget, or even just loved those logic puzzles everyone else hated.
Yeah, RoleCatcher can connect those dots and present a really cohesive story.
Okay, love that. So let's tackle another common one. How do you stay up to date with changes in tax laws and regulations? This field is always evolving, and they want to see that you're committed to learning, right?
Oh, yeah, it's key. Think beyond just saying you read industry publications.
Right.
Be specific. Name the journals, the websites, the online courses you follow. Have you attended any webinars or conferences? Are you part of professional organizations? These things show you're proactive.
Even if you're just starting out, you can highlight your enthusiasm for learning.
For sure.
Maybe mention specific areas of tax law you're interested in or steps you're taking to learn more. Are you following a tax blog? Are you planning on getting a relevant certification?
Yeah, great point. And RoleCatcher shines here too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, their skill guides use AI to provide curated learning paths specifically for roles like tax inspector.
Oh, wow.
It can help you find the most relevant certifications, courses, all those resources to boost your knowledge and show you're serious about professional development.
Okay, let's get into a question that tests your people skills, all right?
Okay.
How do you handle difficult clients who are resistant to paying taxes? This is all about showing you can navigate sensitive situations.
Yes, and remember, you're not there to be a bully, you're a guide.
That's a good point.
They want to see that you can approach these situations with, empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
So explain how you would actively listen to them, try to understand their perspective, and then calmly explain the rules and their obligations.
Would you ever jump straight to enforcement or penalties?
It's best to really emphasize those communication and problem-solving skills first. Highlight your ability to build rapport, find common ground. If they're genuinely confused, you can offer guidance. If they're deliberately evading, then you can lay out the potential consequences.
And I think RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be super helpful here, too.
Oh, for sure.
It can analyze your responses and suggest ways to improve your tone, your delivery. Make sure you're coming across as professional and empathetic, even when things get tough.
Makes sense.
Okay, now imagine they hit you with this. Can you give an example of a complex tax issue you've dealt with in the past? This is your time to shine. Showcase your analytical skills and your ability to handle tricky scenarios.
And remember, it doesn't have to be from a formal tax role. Maybe you helped a friend figure out a confusing inheritance tax thing or volunteered at a tax clinic.
Oh, yeah.
The key is to pick an example that shows you can solve problems and you get tax principles.
Okay.
Walk them through the problem, the steps you took to research and analyze it, and the solution. Show them you can interpret regulations, think critically, and explain complex things clearly.
Storytelling is powerful. Engage them with a narrative that showcases your skills and passion.
Definitely.
Now, let's get to the heart of a tax inspector's duties. How do you approach an audit of a company's tax records? Here's where your technical knowledge and attention to detail really matter. Picture walking into a company's office. Stacks of documents, maybe some nervous faces. How would you approach this situation?
Systematically and professionally. The first thing is to emphasize fairness and accuracy. You're not there to intimidate, but to ensure they're complying with tax laws. Explain your process for reviewing documents, finding discrepancies, and seeking clarification.
Would you have any specific strategies for staying organized, especially with so much information?
Absolutely. Mention any tools you use to stay organized, like spreadsheets, checklists, project management software.
Oh, yeah.
Highlight your ability to prioritize, manage your time, and keep meticulous records.
This is where I think RoleCatcher's CV and resume tailoring comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Their AI can analyze the job description and suggest ways to highlight your experience with audits, even if it wasn't your main role. Maybe you assisted with an internal audit, reviewed financial statements, or just have a knack for spotting errors in data.
Oh, that's smart.
RoleCatcher can help you showcase those skills.
Interviewers are looking for candidates who are not only knowledgeable, but also organized and capable of handling complex tasks on their own.
All right, let's move on to a question about ethical conduct. How do you handle confidential information when dealing with tax records? This is huge. Interviewers need to know you'll treat sensitive info with care.
Definitely. Clearly explain your understanding of confidentiality rules. How do you handle sensitive documents, both physically and digitally? Mention any training or experience with data security and privacy regulations.
And I think it's good to emphasize your personal commitment to ethical conduct, too.
Oh, yeah.
Let them know you take confidentiality seriously and understand what breaching that trust means.
You can even share a quick story about a time you had to be discreet, showing how you handled it responsibly.
Okay, good one. Let's move on to accuracy and attention to detail. They might ask, how do you ensure that you are following all relevant tax regulations and laws? This is your chance to showcase your meticulousness and your awareness of the ever-changing regulatory landscape.
Be specific about your methods here. Do you track updates to tax codes? Do you consult with colleagues on tough cases? Do you participate in continuing education programs? Share your approach to staying informed.
It's a good place to mention any relevant certifications you hold or are working towards.
Right. It shows dedication.
And this is where RoleCatcher's Career Compass can be a big help.
How so?
It analyzes your skills and interests and suggests potential career paths within tax. It can guide you towards certifications or specializations that boost your credibility.
That's great. I like that it helps you kind of plan out your future in the field.
We've covered a lot, but don't worry, there's more to come. We'll be back in part 2 with even more challenging questions and strategies. For now, let these insights sink in, and remember, you've got this.
You do. And don't forget, RoleCatcher is your secret weapon throughout this whole process. Their AI tools can give you personalized guidance and feedback so you can stand out from the competition and land that dream job.
It's all about having those resources at your fingertips. So yeah, take advantage of it.
All right, well then back to our deep dive into tax inspector interviews.
Ready for round 2?
Oh, absolutely. We've got more tough questions to tackle, and I'm going to show you how RoleCatcher can help you craft those amazing answers.
Awesome. So you mentioned RoleCatcher's AI earlier. Can you give like a specific example of how it can tailor answers for this kind of job?
Sure. Let's say the job description really emphasizes experience with international tax regulations.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI can actually scan your background and highlight times where you worked with, cross-border transactions or dealt with foreign tax implications, even if it wasn't your main focus. It could be something as simple as helping a friend navigate tax stuff for overseas investments, or even volunteering with an organization that dealt with international taxation.
So it's not just about having the experience, it's about recognizing how things that don't seem related can actually show you have the skills they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
RoleCatcher helps you make those connections. That's pretty cool.
It's like it brings those hidden gems to the surface, helps you weave them into your story, and show off your potential.
Okay, I like that. So speaking of stories, let's dive into a question that I think throws people off sometimes. Tell me about a time you failed and what you learned from it. No one likes to talk about their mistakes, but this could be a chance to show growth, right?
It definitely is. The key here is to choose a failure that's relevant, but not like a total disaster.
Right.
Maybe missed a deadline on a complex project or messed up a calculation or misjudged a client's situation. It doesn't have to be huge, but it should be something you learn from.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do you actually talk about failure without making yourself look bad?
Focus on the lesson you learned, walk them through it, what went wrong, and most importantly, what you did to fix it and stop it from happening again.
Okay.
Did you improve your time management? Did you create a better process for checking your work? Did you seek out a mentor or training?
I see. So it shows you're not afraid to own up to your mistakes and that you're always trying to improve. Any employer would appreciate that.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How about this one? What are some of the biggest challenges facing the tax industry today? This lets you show you're aware of industry trends and can analyze complex issues.
It's about seeing the bigger picture, right?
Yeah, not just crunching numbers.
Right. You could talk about how tax codes are getting more and more complicated or the impact of globalization and digitalization on international taxation.
Oh, yeah.
You could even bring up the challenges of enforcing taxes in the age of cryptocurrency.
Good point. It's also a good chance to show off your knowledge of specific initiatives or reforms in the tax world, like efforts to combat tax evasion or simplify those crazy tax codes.
Definitely.
They want to see that you're not only skilled, but also intellectually curious about your field and thinking about its future.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's move on to something that I think makes people squirm a little. What are your salary expectations? It's a tricky one, but it almost always comes up.
And this is where research is your best friend. Before the interview, really dig into salary ranges for tax inspectors in your area, especially for your level of experience.
So don't go in blind and just throw out a number.
No, not at all.
Uh,
Websites like Glassdoor and Salary.com are super helpful for this. You want to have a range in mind that's realistic and shows your value.
that makes sense. So
Yeah.
how do you answer the question without, like, underselling yourself or seeming unrealistic?
You can give them a range based on your research and say that you're flexible and open to talking more.
Okay.
Something like, based on what I've seen, I'm looking for a salary between X and Y, but I'm also really interested in growth opportunities and professional development, so I'm definitely open to discussing the specifics.
It's about knowing your worth, but also being willing to negotiate.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how about leadership? They might ask you to describe a situation where you had to lead or motivate a team to achieve a goal. I think a lot of people underestimate their leadership experience, right?
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be this huge dramatic thing. It could be organizing a group project for school,
Hmm.
mentoring a coworker, or even just taking charge when things get tough.
Okay, so what's the best way to answer this kind of question?
I like to use the STAR method. Describe the situation, the task, the action you took, and the result. Focus on how you motivated others, communicated well, and overcame obstacles to get a positive outcome.
And RoleCatcher's interview practice feature could be really useful here, right?
Definitely. You can record yourself answering the question and get feedback from their AI on your delivery, content, and how you come across overall.
That's like having a coach in your pocket helping you tell your story better.
It's a game changer, especially if you get nervous during interviews.
Okay, so let's talk about pressure. They might ask, describe a time when you were under a lot of pressure. What did you do to manage the situation? Tax inspector roles can be pretty demanding, so they want to know you can handle it.
Right. Choose an example that shows you can deal with the demands of the role, like handling a ton of cases, a difficult client, or a tight deadline.
But what if you're someone who actually thrives under pressure? Can you just say you don't get stressed?
It's good to be resilient, but everyone feels pressure differently.
That's true.
Instead of saying you never get stressed, focus on how you manage it well.
So it's not about denying it, but showing you can cope in a healthy way.
Exactly. Talk about your time management skills, prioritizing, staying organized, or even just how you stay positive under pressure.
Okay, and maybe mention mindfulness practices or stress reduction techniques you use.
Yeah, good point.
All right, how about this one? How do you ensure that you're providing excellent customer service to clients? Because being a tax inspector isn't just about the numbers, it's about working with people, often in stressful situations.
Yeah, people sometimes forget the human element.
It's not just about the rules, it's about real people.
Exactly. And this question is all about showing your empathy, your communication skills, and your ability to connect with people.
So what should you focus on when answering?
Active listening, communicating clearly, and being willing to go the extra mile. Explain how you would approach every interaction with respect, trying to understand their needs and concerns.
So would you ever use, like, technical jargon or complex tax terms when talking to clients?
You have to tailor your communication to who you're talking to.
Right.
Avoid jargon or overly technical language that could confuse them.
It's all about making complex things easy to understand.
Exactly. Break things down, use examples, and make sure they're following along.
RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be really helpful here, right?
Oh, yeah.
It can analyze your responses, suggest ways to make your language simpler, and make sure you're explaining things clearly.
It helps you make sure you're communicating effectively and building that trust with clients.
All right, so how about attention to detail? They might ask you to describe a situation where you had to pay close attention to detail to achieve a positive outcome. That's a critical skill for tax inspectors.
Think of a time when your meticulousness really made a difference. Did you find an error in a financial statement that saved money? Did you organize a big project perfectly? Did you help a client navigate a tricky tax situation and keep them compliant?
I bet people have experiences they don't even realize are relevant here.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher's AI can help with that. By analyzing your background, it can highlight those experiences and help you frame them in a way that shows off your attention to detail.
I like that. It's like a personal brand manager for your skills.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about working independently. They might ask, describe a situation where you had to work on a project with minimal supervision. This shows your work ethic and self-motivation.
Right. Choose an example that highlights your ability to take initiative, prioritize, and stay on track. Did you manage a complex project from start to finish, showing your organizational skills? Did you take the lead on research, showing you can gather info, analyze data, and draw conclusions?
It's not just about doing the work, it's about showing you can think for yourself and manage your time.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher can help you refine your answers to highlight these skills. Their AI can identify areas where you can strengthen your responses so you come across as someone who can work independently.
Now, problem solving is a big one. They'll probably ask, describe a time when you had to solve a complex problem. What step did you take, and what was the outcome? This is a classic interview question, and it lets you demonstrate your analytical skills and your approach to tough situations.
When choosing an example, focus on a situation where you really had to think outside the box. Did you face a technical challenge that made you try a new approach? Did you have a conflict that you had to mediate and find a compromise for?
So don't just describe the problem, walk them through how you figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. Explain how you gathered info, looked at it from different angles, and considered different solutions before you chose the best one.
It shows you can analyze things and be strategic.
Right.
Okay, so communication is key, especially when explaining complex stuff. They might ask, describe a situation where you had to explain a complex topic or concept to someone who wasn't familiar with it. Tax inspectors often have to do this, right?
Oh, all the time. It's a key part of the job.
I think this is where a lot of people, especially if they're really knowledgeable, might stumble. It's easy to forget that not everyone understands the jargon.
Definitely, it can be a challenge.
Think about a time when you had to break down a complicated concept. Did you explain a tax regulation to a client? Teach a colleague a new software? Present technical info to a non-technical audience?
Those are all great examples.
So what are some good strategies for explaining complex things clearly?
Keep your language clear and concise. Avoid jargon as much as possible. Use analogies, examples, and visuals to make it easier to understand.
And make sure they're actually getting it right.
Yes.
Ask questions, get their feedback, make sure they're following along.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be really helpful here. It can help you simplify your language, improve clarity, and make sure you're conveying complex information effectively.
Cool. Okay, let's wrap up this section with a question about your goals. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's about showing your ambition and commitment to growing in your career.
Absolutely. They want to see how you align with their values, too.
But what if you don't have your 5-year plan perfectly mapped out? Can you be honest about that?
Yeah, it's totally fine to say that your path might change over time.
Okay.
But you should still show that you're excited about learning and growing within the organization.
So how do you balance ambition with being realistic?
You can highlight your interest in specific areas or leadership opportunities that fit your skills and interests.
Okay.
You can also say you're willing to take on new challenges.
It's also a good time to ask them about potential career paths within the organization and how you can contribute to the team, right?
Absolutely. The interview is a two-way street.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Now for the final question, which often comes at the end. Do you have any questions for us? This is more than just a formality. It's your chance to show you're engaged and make a strong impression.
Asking thoughtful questions shows that you're curious and genuinely interested.
So what are some good questions to ask?
You can ask about the team culture, professional development opportunities, the goals for the future, or anything specific about the role that you're curious about.
And it's also a chance to clear up anything that wasn't clear or re-emphasize your qualifications and excitement.
Definitely.
It's your last chance to shine.
Yes, make it count.
Okay, so we've covered a lot in this part of our tax inspector interview prep deep dive, but there's still more to come.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back with part 3, where we'll explore some final tips to help you really nail that interview and get your dream job.
And remember, RoleCatcher is your secret weapon throughout this whole process.
Absolutely.
Their AI tools can help you tailor your answers, find any skill gaps, and practice your delivery, giving you the confidence you need to succeed.
Welcome back to our tax inspector interview deep dive. We're in the final stretch now.
Time to polish those skills and really make an impression.
Yeah, we've tackled those tough questions and shown how RoleCatcher can help you craft those awesome answers.
Absolutely.
Now, it's all about those finishing touches, the things that go beyond just answering right,
The stuff that makes a real difference.
So it's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Right.
What about presentation, demeanor, that kind of thing?
Confidence is key. Project that self-assurance. Show them you're ready for the challenge.
But not like overconfidence, right?
Exactly. It's about that balance, being self-assured, but also humble and approachable.
Makes sense.
You want them to see you believe in your skills, but are also ready to learn.
Yeah, and enthusiasm's contagious. If you're genuinely excited about it, that'll show.
Totally. Let that passion come through. A smile, positive attitude, those go a long way.
What about nonverbal cues?
Oh, huge. Eye contact, posture, a firm handshake, all part of that professional presence.
Okay, so what about clothes? What's the right look for a tax inspector interview?
Best to be professional. A suit or business attire is usually good, but it's smart to check out the company culture first.
Yeah, some places might be more casual.
Right. You can reach out to HR or check their website, get a feel for their vibe.
Key is to look sharp and show respect for the process.
Definitely.
Okay, so after the interview, how do you follow up and stay on their radar?
A handwritten thank you note is always nice, but email works too, especially if time is tight.
What should you include in the thank you?
Restate your enthusiasm for the job, mention a specific thing that stuck with you from the interview, and let them know you're eager to learn more.
And maybe address any concerns that came up or add some extra info you didn't get to share.
Yeah, use that note to solidify your application and leave a great final impression.
So let's talk about RoleCatcher's AI interview practice. Tell us how that works and how it can help.
Okay, imagine a virtual coach that analyzes everything. Your words, tone, even body language.
Whoa, that's cool.
That's what RoleCatcher's interview practice does.
So I record myself answering practice questions, and the AI gives feedback.
Exactly. It checks your answers for clarity, conciseness, relevance. It even finds things you might not notice, like filler words or nervous habits.
That's super helpful, like having a coach fine-tune your delivery.
And you can practice as much as you need until you feel ready.
That takes the pressure off.
RoleCatcher takes the guesswork out of prep and gives you the tools you need to really shine.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive, but remember, preparation is key.
Couldn't agree more.
The more you prep, the more confident you'll feel, and the better you'll do.
RoleCatcher is your prep partner. It's like having a team of coaches and AI-powered tools right there for you.
So use it. Explore the resources, practice those questions, and go get that job.
And remember, being a tax inspector is more than just a job. It's a chance to make the tax system fairer and more efficient.
Yeah, ensuring accuracy, compliance, and building public trust.
So go out there and make a difference. Your journey starts now.
We believe in you.